Hello, friends, and welcome to today's episode of this podcast series where I've been sharing a favorite poem with you every day. The poet I'm gonna read today is Gopal Honnalgere. Gopal Honnalgere was born in Bijapur in Karnataka. He lived a good part of his life in Bangalore and Mysore. His father was a Vedic scholar and an engineer who died when Gopal Honnalgere was fairly young, and after which he lived with his grandparents in Mysore and later in Bangalore. He became a teacher. He taught in schools. He taught in Hyderabad and other different parts of the country. He got married. He had a son and a daughter. And unfortunately, his son died in a road accident while he was cycling to school. A blow his family couldn't handle, and he and his wife underwent divorce. They had a difficult and after which Gopal Hannalgere throughout his life wrote a lot of poetry, and he spent his old age in Bangalore in an old age home. He lived in obscurity and eventually died of cancer. During his lifetime, he was a very celebrated poet, at least among the Western audience. His poetry was appreciated by greats like Robert Lowell and W. H. Auden and William Strafford. They wrote critical essays about praising Gopal Honnalgere's work and his poetry. So he's a forgotten poet today, who was anthologized by Jeet Thayil in the 60 Indian Poets anthology published by Penguin. That's how I got to know about him and his work and the brilliance of his work. The poem I'm going to read today is called How to Tame a New Pair of Chappals. See how interesting and powerful this poem is. How to Tame a New Pair of Chappals. Don't leave them together. Don't allow them to talk to each other. They may form a trade union. Don't at any time leave them near a wall clock, law books, a calendar, the national flag, Gandhi's portrait, or a newspaper. They may hear about independence, satyagraha, holidays, working hours, minimum wages, corruption. Don't take them to your temple. They may at once know you are weak, your God is false, and they may bite you. Don't let them near your dining table. They may ask for food or cast their evil eyes on your dinner. First use them only for short walks, then gradually increase the distance. They should never know the amount of work they have to do. Pull their tight straps loose. Let them feel happiness. They are growing bigger. Smear some old oil on the rough straps. Let them feel they are anointed. Now they are good, subdued laborers, ready to work overtime for your fat feet. We immediately know the political ideology of the poet as the poem progresses. In the first stanza itself, don't leave them together. Don't allow them to talk to each other. They may form a trade union. And as the poem progresses, the poet assumes the persona of a bourgeois. He just gives directions like a businessman would give the assembly line foreman. Don't let them talk to each other. Don't let them come close to the newspaper. Don't let them talk about holidays, working hours, minimum wages. So it kind of it's a very beautiful form for a poem, and that too for chappals, which we never give so much importance to, and the way the chappals are personified, the life is breathed into them. It's actually really good. And the way the poem ends, for your fat feet. Now they are good subdued laborers ready to work overtime for your fat feet. So it hits you on the face. It's very Charles Bukowski in the end. The reader is immediately called fat in the end. The reader's feet is called fat. So yeah, this is a brilliant poem. I really love. There is another poem in this anthology, The City. This is a very powerful poem and is it creates a very powerful metaphor on relationships, city, life in a city, and so much more. It's a poem only Gopal Honalgere could have written in his very peculiar language. The way he molds language is very unique, and we see that example in this poem, The City. She, with her fingertips, touched his tailbone and waited for a reply. He said, "We have lost something else with our lost tail." She, with her fingertips, tickled his tailbone and asked him to see. He saw a calendar with a semi-nude picture hanging on the wall, and outside the room he saw male and female monkeys, naked monkeys, eating ticks from each other's armpits. They were so quiet, so saintly, they were sitting like Digambaras without a thought of sex. She, with her fingernails, scratched his tailbone and asked him to make a statement. He said, "We have gained death when we lost our immortality. We have gained our nudity when we lost our nakedness." The trees caged in the park still flower in the spring. The caged peacock in the zoo has 4 peahens in stock. Still he opens his wing and dances, wooing a mate. I have come to the city. I have bought machines. My home machinery runs smoothly. Only sometimes I tried to kiss her in a restaurant. Before the waiter came, she refused, hissing, "Our car's too old. Your mother, the old villager, should not come here to stay." Sometimes I said, "Padma, there are sunflower seeds in your eyes." And I promised her a new car, a new fridge, a diamond ring, and caressed her to excess. The broken wine glass in the city's dustbin glitters like a diamond, glitters better than the diamond of our loving ring. I wanted a child. I cried, "Child, child, come here, stand and watch." The broken wine glass in the street's dustbin is glittering better than the diamond of our loving ring. But she was as cold as dry fish in the fridge. I wanted a child. Kissing her and caressing her, I cried, "Child, child, I shall come to the Eros's womb. I shall take you out from the Eros' womb. Come and play with me. I shall stand on my head upside down like an Indian yogi and make you laugh, laugh from your belly, laugh like a laughing Buddha. I shall see something new which is not here. In a tic-tac of my wristwatch, I shall see, and much important nothing, in your toothless mouth. Child, child, come with me and play." But she was as cold as dry fish in the fridge. She said, "I love you, and if you love me with the same intensity, don't trouble me with love. Love me, give me a kiss without a child, bring me a sensation without a hangover, take me into anything you like, but for God's sake, dope me into a deep sleep." Marriage is a refrigerator. It freezes eggs, apples, and bananas, but protects them from rotting. It is not the season, nor the season's flowers or heat, but the efficient housewife's mind which decorates the drawing room and sets right the clock, makes it run slow or fast, and regulates the pet dog's heat with infections. My female companion, sometimes she remembers me and kisses me with her painted green lips. The opposite of beauty is the human mind. Pet dogs and stuffed tigers still have their faces. Men and women make faces, but really they do not have them. They wear the city's face. Our self moves green behind our face, a green, overcrowded double-decker which does not stop to take us. So yeah, that's Gopal Honnalgere for you. Do look him up. His books are out of print, unfortunately, but there are some of his poems which are available over the internet, and they are anthologized in 60 Indian Poets anthology. So do read him up. He's a really powerful poet, and unfortunately forgotten. So it's a great thing that we got to remember him today and read some of his poems and discuss him. And that's how a poet lives in his work. And if the work is eternal, the poet is also tends to be, even after being forgotten, time brings him back. um, Such is the story of Ghalib, Kabir, and so many other great poets. So even in our limited capacity, if we can remember a good poet from the past, it's always a good feeling. So thank you so much for being a part of today's discussion. We will meet again tomorrow with a new poet and a new poem. Stay safe and take care. Thank you.